Okay, we'll call the Policy and Procedure Committee meeting to order. Thursday, June 27, 2019 at 9 a.m. Call the roll, please.
Sure.
Here.
Behrens?
Here.
Alt?
Here.
Awful? Here. Stickman?
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Mr. Stickman, second.
Second.
Mrs. Awful. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Are there any public comments this morning? Seeing none, we'll go to the committee chair reports. Mr. Ault, highway.
Yeah, just a regular thing. Joel has one item that's gonna draw it up.
We do have, actually, I've got a couple, 3 petitions for county aid for county bridges. One in Douglas Township, one in Danforth, and one on the Danforth-Douglas line. So,
Okay, Mr. Barron's management.
We're gonna talk about the things we've been talking about, the efficiencies, the cooler, and something about some drainage that somebody wants done over here on our property, and I think we'll probably deny that.
Okay, now we're gonna get into it.
Okay, what about judicial?
Just regular reports as far as I know.
Okay, Mr. Stickman, tax committee.
Just the standard department head reports as far as I know right now.
Mrs. Awful, health.
Yes, we're gonna have Dee and Vonda speak on the basics of communicable disease investigation. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, very good. Okay, next is chairman comment. I have an announcement to make. Today I'm announcing changes in the personnel assignments in the finance center. These will take effect on Monday, July 1st. Lacey Kissick will be the deputy clerk. Her primary responsibilities will include processing claims and dog registrations. Other duties will be assigned as needed, and she will report to the finance center manager. Amanda Longfellow will resume her former position as executive assistant to the county board and the county HR person. Other duties will be assigned as needed, and she will report to the county board chairman and the finance center manager. Jill Johnson will be the finance center manager. To be brief, she will be responsible for all activities within the finance center, and she will report to the county board chairman. Are there any questions? Very good. We'll move along to EMA report, which we don't have this morning. Mr. Stacy's at a conference over in Bloomington, and he didn't leave us a report. So we'll move on to update and action on flood matters in Iroquois County. We're privileged to have the mayor of Watsika with us this morning. I can report on June 13th, I believe it was, over in Knox, Indiana. I attended the last meeting of the Kankakee River Basin Commission, which is now no longer in existence. It isn't. It's been deactivated and replaced by a new creation with the same name by the Indiana State Legislature. What they've done is reduce the number of members from 24 down to 9. Each of the 8 counties in the commission will have 1 representative, which the commissioners in the county will appoint. Could be the surveyor in the county, it could be someone else. And then there will be the 9th member will be someone from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. It also includes a representative from Illinois who would be a non-voting member but would be a part of that organization as well. There also will be an advisory body which will largely consist of the surveyors from the different counties that are not appointed to the commission itself. And if the surveyor is, then I guess the county will appoint someone else to that advisory body. And that change is taking effect on Monday, July 1st. So there's more information to be developed going forward and so forth. Last Friday, there was a meeting up in Kankakee between myself, Chairman Andy Wheeler, State Representative Tom Bennett, representatives from State Representative Lindsey Parker's office. And at that meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion held about going forward here in Illinois based upon in part what's happened in Indiana and based in part on what things are happening here in Illinois. It was decided at that meeting that Kankakee County is going to pursue annexing on, forming a conservancy district that will annex onto the existing one in Momence. Iroquois County will form their own. And later on, several years down the road, whatever the time frame will be, then the two might join together and so forth. So on Monday, I met with Mayor Allhands and briefed him on all this, and some of the matters that have to be taken place with this are something that we have to form in the way of a timeline and so forth. But basically, the process involves getting voters, once we select the area that we want to include in the conservancy district, then we have to get a petition put together that we have to get 1% of the registered voters in that district to approve putting it on the ballot. And then once it goes on the ballot, it'll be up to all the voters in the same district again to approve that creation. So right now, it's a starting point where we're looking at maybe the townships of Iroquois, Middleport, Belmont, and Concord as a starting point. It's not, obviously not laid in stone. We may shrink back from that a little bit. We may expand a little bit. That's yet to be determined. There are several things that we have to keep in mind in doing so. One is, I guess and foremost, that what goes on the ballot gets approved. There's no sense in going through this exercise for something that's not going to be approved. So the townships that I just mentioned are the ones that have probably been impacted the most by the floods that have occurred in the county. And I guess what happened last night must be add some further fuel to the fire. I was very surprised this morning when I turned on the news and found out about all the rain that came down last night, because where I live there was nothing, absolutely zero. And so, I mean, that indicates how these things are unpredictable and so forth. So basically that's kind of where we're at, and so far as the flood matters are concerned, I hope that between now and our meeting next month, we'll be able to have things a lot more specifically outlined. I'd like to have the mayor offer his comments this morning, and maybe we could do that right now.
Well, I mean, first, I really appreciate, and the city appreciates what yourself and Tom Bennett. I mean, if we don't realize what a gem we have in Tom Bennett, I mean, it's, you know, a lot of effort has been put forth. We've sent representatives when we can. I support making the move. We got to try something. You know, Watsika, when we went through it, the Army Corps offered our 50% share of doing our own study, and that was $250,000. We just couldn't do that. But you know, there's strength in numbers. I think this is the right way to go about it. I think the relationship that you build with the Indiana people will be a benefit later, because I think the feds like the bi-state where it can affect the most people, and then I think that's where it becomes a federal type issue. So, you know, I think we have to try this, and like I said, I'm lending my support. I would think for sure 2 of our primary wards that got affected, those aldermen would probably be willing to help as far as getting the signatures, and we had a 3rd one that had some, you know, some supplemental damages too, but not as much as the Ward 1 and Ward 2. So, like I said, I truly believe this is something that as a city we can get on board with, and I will make every effort to see what we can do that.
I guess at this point, the thing that probably would be helpful and maybe proper would be for us to, pass a motion to, support the activity that I just outlined as far as working towards creating a Iroquois County River Conservancy District. And I think that would serve as the impetus for us to be able to put together in a maybe more organized way. There's gonna be a lot of work required to get this done. I mean, I'll be having to work with Lisa Fancher, with Mr. Devine. I'll be working with the Kankakee County people. Chairman Wheeler offered us all the benefit of all the things that they've done or are doing, which I think would go a long ways towards helping us put together a meaningful plan and so forth, so.
I didn't mean to interrupt,
Go
but
ahead.
Chairman, if I could ask, maybe at some point in the future, we have yourself, probably, you know, we can try and get Tom there, but maybe Mr. Devine, as far as when you get through your process, and then we get you on the agenda to one of our meetings. I'm looking probably at Public Works primarily. And, you know, that way, like I said, county and city, you know, I think we need to work together, and I think other projects where we can stretch our tax dollars together, I think is probably the best thing, so.
And I have a copy of the state statute here that we have to follow, but it does indicate that in forming this River Conservancy District, it outlines exactly what the process is as far as getting it on the ballot is concerned. It also outlines the process as far as what the tax rates can be, and outlines what the personnel that would be appointed up to the board of the Conservancy District and so forth. So, anybody that wants to read through that can look at the copy I have. You can go online. It's 70 ILCS 2015.
70 ILS what?
2015, 2015. It's about 25 pages long. Compared with some of them, that's not too bad. So,
Did you say you wanted a motion for that?
yes, sir.
Make a motion with the support of the Waseca City.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Barnes?
Does Lacey need it rephrased?
I think I kind of have it.
Okay.
This is what I have. To support the activity to work towards and with the city of Waseca, something for the Iroquois County River
Formation of
Conservancy District.
Either creating or establishing the Iroquois County River Conservancy District.
Okay.
All right.
And Charlie, you're first?
Yes.
And who was second?
Me.
Got it. Thank you.
Right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Yep. Sure.
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
All?
Yes.
Awful?
Yes.
Sticknot?
Yes.
Okay, I think going forward, we'll have to see how some of this shakes out. We may want to appoint a subcommittee of some type to work on this, but today I'm really not prepared to say, okay,
Would you want to do joint? I mean, Mana's been pretty involved with that. I mean, that might be.
something too. I think that's something over the next couple of weeks we'll be able to get a clearer picture
Okay.
on.
And I mean, next month I'm gonna be gone for our full council, so I mean, August or September, you know, whenever.
Well,
I'm not trying to push it back, but.
No, to that end, one of the things that will play into this is that on July 12th, at 11 o'clock in the morning, the people from Burke Engineering are coming here to
Oh,
present their report and so forth. There will be people from Kankakee County attending as well. And I have to check with Brian to make sure this room is available, but on the assumption that it is, we'll do it here in the boardroom.
okay, maybe I'll
So,
see if, like Mana and myself and,
but that's, as of yesterday, that date was established.
okay.
And,
July 12th, okay. It's July what?
July 12th at 11 in the morning.
It's a Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what the extent will be, but they have a pretty lengthy report, 240 or 20 some pages. I think I got part of it here.
I think the PowerPoint's one like 70 pages.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe they'll be able to present that on the screen up there. We'll see where some of that goes, but it's largely for them to get more specifically so far as answering questions about their report, their findings, and their recommendations for both Iroquois County and Kankakee County. And we want to do this primarily in front of board members and officials of that sort. When we get to the stage of the petitions and those kinds of things, we may want to have them back and have a larger meeting open to the public where people can come and ask questions as well as get more information about it. But right now, we're talking about the report and the findings that Burke Engineering has found, so that's the intention of what we're arranging for the 12th of July. So. Okay, anybody else have any questions about the flood situation?
No questions, but I'm just glad to see that something's working towards something.
Well, it's a long process. It's been a difficult one in some respects. I've been to a lot of meetings and put on a lot of miles going over to Indiana and back. Charlie went to one of the meetings over there. He has an appreciation for the magnitude of things, and I think that it's something that all adds up. As the mayor pointed out, Tom Bennett has been very active to begin with. He's had his assistant Angel Crawford at the forefront of this as well, and I think we owe them a lot of thanks and gratitude for what they've done. But they're also relying on us, myself and Chairman Wheeler, to carry the ball through as far as getting things in Illinois put together. I will say this, that the way it's structured in Indiana is different from the way it's structured in Illinois, which probably isn't any surprise because that's the way things usually work. But in Indiana, the state is funding a lot of their efforts and their work over there. In Illinois, the chances of getting the state legislature to fund anything is a pie in the sky dream. So it's going to come down to local monies. It's going to come down to maybe grants and other sources of funding of that sort. But we just need to know that up front. There is supposedly, which is some money that FEMA has in a separate fund or place. I don't know how many $1 million it is, but it supposedly is targeted or earmarked for bi-state flood projects. And at the present time, I guess there aren't any anywhere in the United States, so the money just sits there. So if we can get some type of a bi-state project underway between us and Indiana and access that money, that may be a real major benefit for all of us. But and we also have to recognize that unless some big miracle occurs, what we're doing is not going to eliminate the problem of flooding. It's going to try to ease it and make it more manageable. Floods are still going to occur, but it's been documented, and this will come out in a meeting on July 12th, that the rainfall keeps increasing every year. The rivers keep filling in with silt and so forth. They don't have the capacity to carry the water away. Consequently, you've got a serious situation, and trying to one of the thoughts has always been, well, build a lake or some reservoir, spillway, whatever, to store the water and so forth, and that probably would work real well. But the matter comes up to the point of, well, what's the cost and where would you do it? Whose farm is willing to be sold to create such a thing,
I think back in the day, they said it'd almost have to be the size of Lake Shelbyville. That's a lot of, and John, I don't want to be a fly in the ointment, but we got to get this plan done in order, otherwise it's a deal killer with FEMA.
Yep. Well, it'll be a while you know, hopefully it'll be done long before we get to that point, because going to FEMA on this would be a joint effort between us and the people in Indiana. And we're
Right.
establishing some very good relations with them. I think, relations that in the past may have been very strained or non-existent. And, I think that's changing rapidly, so.
You gotta come together.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
mean,
there is to it.
they've been very welcoming to our presence over there, and very forthcoming, and, you know, we're on their mailing list, sending us all their information, whatever questions we have, they answer and provide us with information, so.
Again, I just appreciate, I mean, with you and Tom finding that DECIO grant to get our portion paid, I mean, that was brilliant, so.
Okay, I think that takes care of the flood matters, so we'll move on to discussion and action on the FOID card resolution. You don't have copies of that for the committee? I'll pass this around. At the last meeting, we had this resolution about the FOID card act presented to us, and where you see the X on that was the paragraph that was objected to, and the reason that it was sent back to this committee, so. And probably the simplest thing for us to do is to approve removing that paragraph and bring it before the board again.
I move that we remove that. See that, Charlie? Paragraph, be it further resolved that the Iroquois County Board hereby agrees that the Iroquois County shall not support the enforcement of Firearm Owner Identification Card Act 403 ILCS 65 through the use of county funds appropriations, etc. Remove that and approve the rest of it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Sticknott. Are there any questions or comments about the motion?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
What is the reason behind removing that?
Well, the sheriff had
I think
discussed
it was pretty well voiced at the last board meeting that the sheriff and in particular, but I guess the state's attorney, who initially approved it, on second thought probably feels that the county board doesn't have the right to tell the sheriff what laws he can enforce and what laws he cannot enforce.
And the sheriff felt bound that he took a note from the state that he would enforce all laws the state has, and this would be conflict to that.
That's correct, and I guess as we all know, across the state, there are some things that are enforced and some things that aren't. Even in other states, that's the case. In fact, yesterday, the governor of Illinois was arrested up in Wisconsin for speeding, but he was only giving a warning ticket.
Oh, really?
So I mean, these kind of things, as we all know, are handled somewhat to the discretion of law enforcement. But in any event, for us to have this in print here is, I think I agree, probably it's better that it's not there, so. If there's no other further questions or comments, you can call the roll, please.
Sheriff,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Stickman.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. We'll get that paragraph removed and it'll come before the full board meeting on Tuesday the 9th, I guess it is. So, okey-doke, appointments. I don't have any appointments today. Correspondence, I don't have any of that. Claims, I don't guess we have any claims either, huh? Fine. Do we have any old business to come before the committee? Is there any new business to come before the committee? A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mrs. Awful moves we adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Barron seconds. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Yes.
Is there a way you could get?
I've already phoned.
Okay, let me ask Mark, because I know they went out and surveyed it, but just, I mean, I don't know if you go that way now.
Okay, so
There used to be,
anything,
there's a house that
anything new
has an
on
in-ground pool.
the,
There used to be a condo. Yeah. Originally, we talked starting on one corner of my property and going the other, and I said, we gotta try and. So that's why I asked him, originally,
How
that
likely,
really added a little bit of
how likely
expense
am
to
I
it.
to
But,
get a
you know,
chance to
I-
talk?
We're gonna do, want to do.
He's hard to get a hold of
Yeah,
these
I'll
days,
get him
and I
too, but
suppose
I know
when he
there's
hears
gonna
who
be
it is,
a.
he probably, he might not ever get
They
to
call
talk
it
to
this,
him. But
But
maybe he's got the same thing in mind.
The culvert,
that we do,
yeah, going in
And just hasn't
one
been able to
side,
do it. And
my neighbor's
we don't know unless you
property,
try,
and one in
so.
the corner, and then that's
Well,
gonna
if
divert
he's
over
agreeable
to
to do it, I'm gonna ask him to
down the
send us a
corner.
letter.
Yeah, we can always.
Yeah. That'll be
Monday,
perfect.
okay. All right, we're gonna go down there and talk about allowing the gator to put up our Fourth of July flags all along the highway, so.
Would be helpful.
But like I said, that's just the materials I figured, you know.
Helping us.
You got any questions?
Steel plate. That's
We'll rip you apart.
We're gonna be apart on Monday, so be here Monday or, and
You
that's.
didn't know you were sitting right. The two guys who are gonna do it.
They can do it, huh?
No, we can't.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Trying all
But like
these
I said,
numbers,
I
I
mean,
can't
I
remember.
figured if we can get some half on the materials, that would be very appreciated.